when this investigation is finally finished, whether it's done with legitimate investigations of state and federal authorities working in conjunction with congressional investigations and hearings, or whether it's finally uncovered by the historians, we're going to find out that these roads following ACORN do lead to the White House. We know that the President has worked for ACORN, and he has been part and parcel of that. He has talked about it openly, Project Vote in particular, and yes, I know, pro bono attorney and voter registration in Chicago. Project Vote is part and parcel of ACORN. That entire network is something the Chicago organization that now sits in the White House knows a lot about. And the last point I'll make is the new White House counsel, Robert Bauer, is the one who sent a 7-page letter to the Attorney General a little over a year ago, urging the Attorney General to investigate President Bush and the McCain organization for alleging that ACORN was promoting fraudulent voter registration activities and arguing that they should be investigated and prosecuted if charges can be found. I think it's the exact opposite, but now with Robert Bauer in as White House counsel, we can see what his job is in the White House, and historians will figure this out if we don't, but it is our congressional duty to get to the bottom of ACORN. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In early October, my office was flooded with reports that Northwest Indiana ACORN dropped approximately 5,000 voter registration applications at the Lake County Voter Registration Office during the last few days and hours of the voter registration period. Apart from the chaos that this causes for election administrators to process all that, and under Indiana law and federal law, we are required to process those when we get them to make sure no one's inadvertently disenfranchised. Many of these turned out to be suspicious, incomplete, or unverifiable. At that point, I asked the Lake County Board of Voter Registrations to secure those 5,000 applications, all the evidence associated with it, and to send us examples of some of what they were talking about. They did, and my office ended up studying copies of 1,438 voter registration applications that had been flagged by the Lake County Board, and evidence of a pattern of voter registration fraud was striking. For example, 61% of the applications had one or more critical defects observable on the face of the applications, rendering them invalid or useless. 88% of that 1,438 application number could not be verified through the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles database or by a 4-digit Social Security search and match attempt. 26% of the applications evidence that a third party had assisted the intended voter in completing, correcting, or altering the required data. And you should know that Indiana law requires the identification on the application of anyone altering, completing, or updating a voter registration application. However, only 3 of the altered applications identified any third party whatsoever. 22% of the ACORN applications appeared to be multiple applications prepared by the same individual.
Well, let's kind of go back through that. You're working for a nonprofit, a 501c3 at the time,
yes,
that is prohibited from being involved in political activities, right?
Correct.
And a political arm comes to you with an overtly federal election, a primary in this case, and has made a decision that Al Wynn is not their kind of Democrat, and they want your help on behalf of one of your nonprofit donors that has helped you register voters in that very district, and they want you to, in fact, help a presentation that led to his defeat in the primary.
That is correct.
So let's run back through this. The government and foundations and other groups contribute money to various ACORN affiliates to do community work, to help the poor, to help the disadvantaged. And in the process of giving these briefings and so on loan restructuring and other advice that they were paid by grants to give, they basically signed people up either then or immediately following to a $10, $8 to $10 a month membership. So they not only got a pretty good amount of money when you aggregate it to $400,000, but they got to claim that they had membership of $400,000. Is that basically true?
Yes.
How sophisticated were these people? Were they aware that, my understanding is it's done by automatic debit, that the way you get to be a member is they get your bank account and then your bank account gets hit every month for the same amount. Is that right?
Yes.
So were these people sophisticated enough to understand that once they turned that over, they were essentially automatic members for as long as they had that bank account?
I don't think so. I saw numerous times when I would go to the fax machine and there would be angry letters from people saying, please stop debiting my account, you're overdrawing my account. And ACORN had a problem with actually going in and taking these people out of the system. Sometimes they would have to request 2 to 3 times to stop the direct debits.
Well, I'm going to allow